Tom, Joe, and Huck went to the island to be pirates. When Tom woke up early in the morning, he rubbed his eyes. He sat up and looked around. Then he remembered that he was on the island with his friends. The island was quiet and peaceful. He felt a delightful feeling of rest and peace. A thin blue breath of smoke rose straight into the air from the fire they had made. Joe and Huck were still sleeping. A bird sang, and then another answered. Soon, many birds were singing. Tom watched various insects moving around in the forest. Ants were trying to drag a dead spider along the ground. A worm slowly crawled across a wet leaf. Butterflies fluttered in the air, and the bees buzzed from flower to flower. Squirrels ran up and down a tree and stopped to see their strange neighbors. The animals didn't seem to be afraid of Tom. Tom thought that maybe they hadn't seen people before. Tom called to the other two pirates. Soon, the three boys began to enjoy swimming in the river near the shore. Their boat had been carried away by the current, but they didn't care. They didn't need a boat because they would never be going back home. When they became hungry, they built their fire. Huck found some good water to drink while Joe cooked the meat. Joe cooked some fish that Tom and Huck had caught in the river. They enjoyed the food very much. Tom said, "You are a good cook, Joe. It's very delicious." Huck said, "This is the best food I have ever eaten." Tom said, "This is the first time I have ever eaten fish cooked with meat." The food tasted better because they were very hungry after swimming and playing in the river. After breakfast, the three boys decided to look around the island. They walked through the trees to see what they could discover. As pirates, they wanted to explore the island first. The island was 3 miles long and 1/4 of a mile wide. The island was very near to the shore on one side, but far from the shore where the village was. They found fallen branches of trees and flowers. They also saw various insects moving around. The boys were delighted. They were hot, so they went swimming in the river again and rested under the trees. Then they sat talking about their future. The talk soon stopped. They had nothing to talk about. Each of the boys began to think of home. Huck, who had no home, was thinking of the places he had liked to visit in the village. However, no one dared to suggest they go home. The quietness and the loneliness were beginning to change their happiness. Suddenly, they heard a distant sound. They looked at each other and listened. There was a long silence and then a loud boom. Then there was a long quiet and then another boom. The three boys stood up and ran toward the shore. Through the thick trees they saw a riverboat which was crowded with people. Another boom came out of the riverboat with a cloud of white smoke. Several small boats surrounding it were also filled with people. Joe said, "What are they doing on the river?" Huck said, "They are looking for a person who has drowned. They did that last year when a villager drowned. A dead body rises to the surface of the water when the cannon makes that boom." Huck continued to say, "I wonder who drowned." An idea came to Tom. "I know who drowned. They are looking for us. They found our boat and now they think we've drowned." "That's right," Huck said. "I wish I could be on that boat," Joe said. "It looks very exciting." They listened and watched the riverboat move slowly up and down the river. Hearts were breaking for the villagers because they had been looking for the three boys. Tom knew that they must have cried and said how much they had loved the boys. Tom also knew that they had become famous pirates. There was nothing more to do. It was wonderful. In the evening, when it was getting dark, the three boys built a fire. They cooked fish with meat for dinner and sat around the fire talking about their families and friends back home. Tom said to the others, "I'm sure that our families and friends will be talking about us." Joe said, "I wonder what my mom is doing now. I bet she is missing me." Huck said, "My poor dad will be drunk by now and will be sorry for the way he treated me." Tom said to the others, "We are pirates. We will do what pirates must do. Then we will go home famous. Do you understand me, boys?" After the sunset, Huck fell asleep, and then so did Joe. Tom sat quietly for a long time, watching his friends. When he was sure that his friends were in a deep sleep, he stood up and picked up 2 pieces of this wood to write on. He wrote something on the wood. When finished, he put 1 piece in Joe's hat and the other in his pocket. Very slowly and quietly, he began to walk away through the trees toward the shore. When he knew that they could not hear him, he began to run towards the river.